Doesn't say it, but that's what he's thinking. Shall we go on sitting so that grace may increase? The Greek word there, starting verse 2, is meganoita. And it's another emphatic no. It's a heck no with a couple else. He says, we died to sin. How can we live in it any longer? Listen, he's not trying to be, he's asking a rhetorical question, but he's not trying to be smart with this. He's asking a heartfelt question. He says, listen, if you have understood the grace that you've received, how could you ever turn from it? What he's setting up is the argument of people who walk away from the faith. They were never truly possessors of faith. They were professors of faith. They talked a good game, but they never were really experiencers of the grace of God. And here's the deal. So often in the church, that's what we have. Professors of faith. People who talk a good game. In the modern day vernacular, they're called posers. Folks who look right but aren't. For instance, I don't know who did this. I've prayed against you all week. But someone put a Yankees hat on my desk after the recent sweep that they had in New York. They put a Yankees hat on my desk, and they put I'm not really praying against you, but they put an article of the last game of how they got beat in there, and they just set it on my desk. Ha ha ha. It's a really old hat. They didn't even bother to get me a good one, but they gave me this hat. And here's what I think about a lot of people who seem to have faith but then walk away. They're people who, if they were me, put on a Yankees hat. You might want to get a picture of this because it's never going to happen again. It's a really old hat too. It's like a trucker hat. It's like way up on my head. I know. Get it out. I got to keep going. Get it out. All right, so if I walk out of here right now and I wear this around town, which I'm not going to do, but if I were to do this and you saw me and you didn't know me and you saw me with a Yankees hat on, you'd think, Yankee fan. He likes the Yankees. He's got a horrible taste in hats and he's got a huge head. But apparently he likes the Yankees. Now you might think that. I might have you fooled into believing that. But nothing could be further from the truth. I wish them no harm, but I wish them no well. Yeah, but seriously, here's the deal. When it comes to salvation, who has it, who doesn't? When it comes to family members of mine who believed in Jesus Christ all the way up through their freshman year of college, went to college, and came back renouncing everything they'd ever believed. What was going on there? Well, some would say he was a Christian and he fell away. I would say the dude was never a Christian. Because if he had truly experienced the grace of Jesus Christ, it would have changed him forever, and he would have never... Now listen, are we going to sin? Anybody here sin since you became a Christian? Get your hands up in the air. Everybody sins once they're a Christian. Now we sin less, hopefully, as we go on, but we're going to make big mistakes. All you kids out there who are Christians as young children, don't get disillusioned by doubt when you go off and make a bad choice or life goes hard. God's still there. He still loves you. It doesn't negate everything that you've believed. Mistakes are going to happen. But in a person who has been affected, changed by the grace of Jesus Christ, here's what happens when you make mistakes. It may not happen right away. And this is a litmus test for everybody who follows after Jesus. If you're wondering whether or not they ever knew Jesus, just wait. Wait and see what happens. Remember the story of the prodigal son? Prodigal leaves. We don't know how long he was gone. But eventually, here's where he came to. He was face down in pig slop. And he did three things. Because he was truly his father's son, he realized the error of his ways. He repented, and he returned. And if the grace of Christ has transformed your soul, eventually his conviction will fall on your heart. You'll realize the truth about how you're living. You'll come to grips. You'll have your Jesus meeting. You'll come to grips with how you need to live. You'll repent. and you return to your Father. That's how we know. That's how we know. So why does assurance matter? Well, let's talk about it. Go home. If people can really lose their salvation, it's going to lead us to answer these two things. It's going to, well, no. Let me start with this. The kindest thing I could do for you as your pastor, if you could lose your salvation, is when you are being baptized after your conversion, is to take you and to hold you down. And here's why. Because surely, if someone can lose their salvation, every one of us will. We sin. I talk to people who believe they can lose their salvation all the time. And my question is them, okay, which sin was it? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, was it when you lied to me about this or that? I don't agree with that. But which sin was it? Because here's what happens. People do gradation of sin. They put the big sins up here, and if you do that and you walk away from Jesus, then you're out. But if you just, do these little sins down here, you're still in. No, wait. Does God see sins as different? No, every sin is an abomination to God, from the white lies to the worst of the worst. And so you say to me you can lose your salvation. I'm like, oh, well, if you can lose your salvation, everybody loses their salvation. And truly, the kindest thing a pastor could do for you is to hold you under the water until the bubbles stop. Because that way, once you're saved, you can't go off and lose it again. I mean, think about it. If anyone can lose their salvation, everyone's losing their salvation. Every one of us. People say, well, it's not just any one sin, it's a collection. Well, then how long does it take for you to lose your salvation? We'll make it like a Tootsie Pop commercial. One sin, two sins, three sins, right? I mean, the young people don't get that one.